Thank you, Roberta. So I feel like I haven't been here forever. So I know when something's going right when my nose starts to run. I don't know what it is, but every time I walk into a church, my nose starts to run, and I just think it's just a sign that Spirit's here. Yeah, just purging and getting centered, and it's, so I keep these whenever I'm in church, anywhere in church. Otherwise, I have to think I'm allergic to you, and I don't. So I don't know if you know the story of what happened. I was supposed to be here on February 18th, and 6:30 in the morning, I get into my car, all packed up, ready to come, and I backed out of my garage, and there's a puddle on my garage floor, and I get out, and it's oil. And I'm not going anywhere with a puddle of oil under my car. And there was no way to get to my mechanic then, and it was 6:30 in the morning on Sunday, and so I called John. He said I didn't wake him up, but people always lie about that when you wake them up. They do, I do. And you don't even mean to because you're half asleep. Somebody say, did I wake you? Oh, no, I'm fine. So I said, I really hate to be making this call. But, I have an elderly car, and I don't know how old it would be in car years, but in dog years, it would be, I was figuring it out on the way up here, it would be about 90. So, but it's a great car, the mechanic keeps telling me, and I have a wonderful mechanic. So because what happened was related to a recent repair that I got a huge discount for it, which was wonderful because at this age, when they say there's something wrong, you don't know if it's going to be $200 or $2,000. So I was blessed once again and prosperous. So anyway, this is why I said all that to say this. Our 4 agreements got a little bit out of order because of that. Because I had already asked Reverend Michelle, who I understand you enjoyed very much, I'm so glad, to come and replace me on the first Sunday in March because I had a coaching training thing to do. And and I had asked her to do the 3rd agreement, which would have been right in order. And I didn't want to change up on her. And so we just went ahead and did it as it was. And so we're jumping back today, and we're going to do the 3rd agreement. So let's get started on that before I tell another story. So we are talking 2nd agreement. Sorry. I don't even know where I am. Okay, so we're doing the 2nd agreement. But all the agreements are, again, be impeccable with your word, which we talked about. Don't take anything personally is the second one. Don't make assumptions, which you've talked about already. And always do your best. So as I said, today, we're talking about the 2nd agreement. Don't take anything personally. Wow, yeah, boy. That's just simple, right? Do you realize how often you're taking things personally? How often you assign negative intent to others when it's not really the case? As human beings, I believe that this may be the most common characteristic that keeps us from moving along our spiritual journey. I want to read you a quote. Oh, this is just a little bit too close for me. It's making me cross-eyed. Okay. All right. I want to read you a quote from the book, The 4 Agreements. Whatever happens around you, don't take it personally. Nothing other people do is because of you. It is because of themselves. All people live in their own dream, in their own mind. They are in a completely different world from the one we live in. When we take something personally, we make the assumption that they know what is in our world. And we try to impose our world on their world. Even when a situation seems so personal, even if others insult you directly, it has nothing to do with you. This is the hard one for us. What they say, what they do, and the opinions they give are according to the agreements they have in their own minds. Taking things personally makes you easy prey for predators, the black magicians that Ruiz talks about. They can hook you easily with one little opinion and feed you whatever poison they want. And because you take it personally, you eat it up. When he's talking about the black magicians and the emotional poison, remember when we talked about being impeccable with your word, not spreading emotional poison from you to them, because it comes back on you. You're feeling all of it. In this case, he's saying, don't be vulnerable to other people's emotional poison by taking everything personally and thinking it's about you. And though Ruiz says that the first agreement is the most important of all because it's the foundation for all the others, for me personally, this second agreement is the most critical. Focusing on it has been a life changer for me. Just think about it. Truly believing that nothing really is personal changes everything. So to continue my example from the last time I spoke, if you see someone on the street and say, hey, you are really stupid, and without knowing you, it's obviously, no, wait, I've got it backwards. That's what I said last time. If you say, hey, you're really stupid. If I see you on the street and say, hey, you are really stupid without knowing you, it's obviously not about you because I don't know you. But it's about me. But on the other hand, if they take it personally, if you take it personally, on some level you have to believe it. Because if you didn't, if I say to you, hey, you, and I don't know you, you're stupid, and you take it personally, can you see this? At some level, you must believe it, because otherwise, wouldn't you just say, they don't even know me, this is ridiculous. This person's crazy. I'm definitely not stupid. I mean, somebody who doesn't even know you, saying something like that to you, wouldn't you just say, that's ridiculous, I'm not stupid. But if you take it personally, you might be thinking something like, how does she know? Is she psychic? So that mindset that everything's personal changes everything. The minute you take it personally, Ruiz says, you fall into the greatest expression of selfishness and egoism that there is, thinking that everything is about you. And it's no wonder that we tend to do this, because from a very early age, as children, we spend a great deal of time being the object of importance and the center of attention. We get used to that. And as a result, we start to think we're the center of the universe. But the truth that Ruiz cites is that all people, as he said, live in their own world. They live inside their own mind. And even when the circumstances feel totally personal, even if it's a direct insult, it's not about you. Have you ever had someone describe to you what you are thinking about them? and it's totally wrong. And no matter what you say, they just can't let go of their feeling or opinion about what you're thinking or feeling. I just had this, actually, while I was preparing this talk, which is very common when one prepares a talk, you get to do whatever it is you're talking about, right, Lucky? So while I was preparing this talk, one of my family members had this kind of a confrontation where this family member actually thought that I was thinking and feeling a certain way, which was absolutely not true. It was totally wrong, and it had nothing to do with what I thought or felt. And evidently, this had been going on for a long while, like a few years. And I knew there was a distance between us, but I attributed it to some other things that had happened, and I had released it. You know, at first it was disturbing to me that that distance was appearing, but I just had released it and dealt with it, and it wasn't that we weren't speaking, but we just weren't as close as we had been. Well, what alerted me that something was wrong was she unfriended me on Facebook. Very modern issue, right? You know, some people could unfriend me, a lot of people could unfriend me, actually, and I would think nothing of it, because sometimes people get thousands of friends and they start to purge if they haven't had a lot of interaction with you. I'm pretty picky about how many friends I have, so I don't have many by some people's measure. And but I noticed. I mean, it's a family member who it's my niece. It's somebody pretty close to me. It's my late brother that I just lost a couple of years ago, his daughter. They were estranged. So, So you can see how there might have been some stuff there. But anyway, we had not stopped communicating. And it all kind of, we didn't talk about that, but it all kind of centered around that. And so when I responded to her, I gave her my perspective and how I really felt and what I was really thinking. And, she moved just a little bit, but she never totally moved off her opinion. And so after a couple of hours of talking nicely, we weren't fighting in any way, but just talking about it, I could see that, I was getting nowhere just trying to be right. Right? I was just trying to convince her that, no, I don't think that. But it wasn't working, and we were just going around in circles. And she would come back and say the same things over, and I thought, this isn't working. And so what did I do? I chose love. I just chose love. I just stopped, and I told her that no matter what was said in the past, nor how crazy I seemed to sound, nor if I remembered or not what she's talking about, which frankly, I don't remember saying some of the things she said I said in the past, and I have a hard time imagining myself saying them, but it's her truth. She believes that's what I said. That no matter what I said, whether I remember the conversation or not, she can be sure of one thing. I would never intentionally say or do anything to hurt her, and that no matter what, I love her. And everything flipped. Everything flipped. What was going on was that she was taking my words and actions personally and creating a negative scenario around them. And then so then when the distance happened, I in response took that personally. I got over it, but I did in the beginning take it personally and decided how to deal with it. And I decided to just let it go and not intrude on her. So I didn't start a conversation about it. I just kind of let whatever was happening, but I had initially taken it personally. But when I stopped and told her that I loved her, and she got it, that whole thing just dissolved. But truthfully, even if it hadn't, I would have been okay because I had stopped taking things personally. In this case, all she really wanted to know was that I loved her. And I might have never gotten there if I hadn't given up taking her inaccurate assessment of me personally and stopped trying to be right. Would you rather be right or happy? When we take things personally, we are offended. And then we feel like we have to defend ourselves and defend our beliefs. So you take a position of needing to be right over everything else. But the truth is that it's none of our business what other people think of us. Deepak Chopra said, what other people think of you is not your business. If you start to make that business your business, you will be offended for the rest of your life. Because they're bound to not get it right. Nobody knows you better than you. If we don't take anything personally, we just don't care what they think. I know that may sound like apathetic, but it's really not. It's like, it's not our business what they think of us, because really, what do they know? I mean, they're not inside our head, and we shouldn't get angry with them for not knowing. How could they? Why would they? When we know who we are, and when we're impeccable with our word and live our truth, what others think of us has no effect on us. It's the way they see the world, and it has nothing to do with our own personal reality. What about when somebody's angry with you? I mean, kick it up a notch. This isn't just a misunderstanding. Somebody's angry with you. Ruiz describes it this way. He says we all create a movie of our own lives in which we are the main character. Right? I mean, we always think we're right. Of course we think we're right. Why wouldn't we? We should. I mean, you don't want to go through life doing what you think is wrong, so we think we're right. Until something comes along that shakes us and says, wait a minute, this isn't working. But generally, we are the center of our own attraction. Everyone else is secondary. So if you get mad at me, it's nothing to do with me. I know this is the hard concept, especially if somebody's coming at you angry. You want to go into defensive mode. But it's about how you're dealing with you when you're angry with me, and what you believe about yourself in relationship to me. Have you ever had the experience of someone coming at you and going into a rant, but you know, if you're able to stay centered, we aren't always, really, we humanly fall into defensive mode when somebody's angry at us or with us. But if you're able to just stay non-judgmental and in a centered place, you may have this feeling, they're not talking to me. This is about somebody else. And that's how you know you're starting not to take things personally, because you'll have that feeling more and more often where somebody's like all agitated and it sounds like they're mad at you, but you're going, this can't be right. This isn't about me. I'm not involved in this. Whatever it is they're angry about is not about me. In essence, Ruiz says it's always this way. Not just when somebody's agitated, but it's never about you. It's about the other person's perspective. So just let them have their perspective. It won't get you anywhere fighting with him about it anyway, just as with my niece. We talked for at least 2 hours, and she may have nudged just a little bit, but never really changed her mind. So those judgments that other people have of you, they may or may not line up with your own personal beliefs about yourself and what you feel and your ideals. So let's just get down to it. How do we stop taking things personally? It's so easy to say that, and it's so hard to do, especially when we're in that mode. We get used to doing it. We get used to seeing everything from that perspective. It's like you kind of have to break up with it. How do you do that? So here are some ways to do that. I love this dog. Aww. This is like an English bulldog, right? You people who know dogs. So I heard one time that, different dogs are called the smarter dogs. Poodles are really smart. English bulldogs aren't particularly intelligent, faithful, and loyal. But they're the kind of dog that when most dogs, it's like you leave and it's like, okay, when are they coming back? When are they coming back? When are you coming back? An English bulldog will meet you at the door and go, oh, I kind of remember you. But anyway, that's way off track. But so here we are, the strategies for not taking things personally. Question your beliefs. We get really solid in some of our beliefs. And we don't ever stop to say, well, do I really still believe that? Is that really still the truth? Let's say that you believe that when you greet someone, it's the proper thing and they should greet you back. That shows respect and consideration. And if I say hello or good morning, you should say it back to me. So, if you say hello to people as you walk into an elevator and you're taking things personally, so here's how this is how your brain might work. It follows that if they don't return your greeting, they're being disrespectful. If they're disrespectful, it's because they think that you're not worthy of respect. If people think you're not worthy of respect, then they think you're worthless. And if people think you're worthless, then maybe you are worthless. Oh my gosh, no wonder we get so upset. On the other hand, if you don't get upset if people don't greet you when you greet them, it's because your beliefs are probably more like this. If you greet people and they don't greet you back, it's not about you. It's about them. Any number of things could explain why. Maybe they didn't hear you. Maybe they're distracted. Maybe they're having a bad day. Or they simply think it's best not to talk to people they don't know in the elevator. If you want to stop taking things personally, question your beliefs. Perhaps that idea that people are required to respond to you, to show their respect, is outdated for you. Next, stop worrying about what other people think. I remember when my poor mother, she, I grew up not believing in divorce. And I was the first, we were the first couple to get a divorce in our social group. My mother was devastated, and she even said the words, "How could you do this to me?" And I said the words, "This is not about you," even though she really didn't like my ex-husband. She still said those words. The same month, I'd only been married 5 years, the same month or the same year, my brother got a divorce after 17 years. So she was in divorce hell, my mother. But, you know, that was my lesson in, you can't worry. And really, I got some really negative feedback from my friends who were no longer my friends, some of them. So that was my first lesson in not worrying about what people think about you and doing what's right for you. And that was not an easy decision for me, by the way. It was very, very difficult. So the only reason why we would be concerned about something someone says about us personally is if their approval is important to us. I can think of a few situations where it would be important to people we really love to be on the same page with us. But mostly we need to live our lives. They're our lives. We need to do what makes us happy as long as it's not hurting anyone else. And people who love and care for you will support that. And the more you do it, the more you attract those people. You can't ever control what other people think about you. I suspect you know that by now. Even if you follow all the rules and do everything right. It's just not controlled by you. If you accept yourself and act in the way that you think is right, you will always be happy and peaceful. Third, recognize the spotlight effect. A lot of the time when we feel that we're being judged or criticized, it's because we're living in our own head, and we know our mistakes and our flaws, and we judge ourselves. And so we think we hear something, and we think that that person has picked up on this thing that we judge ourselves about. And in reality, they're not thinking about you at all or talking about you at all sometimes even. We eavesdrop and we get a wrong idea. So without a doubt, there have been times when you have taken something personally that you thought someone thought about you, and it was not correct. So keep that in mind next thing you're taking something personally. Stop and think. First of all, do I want to let this person control what I do by what they think? And secondly, maybe they don't really think what I think. Maybe you're on the other side of that equation like my niece and I were on. Next, think, troll, delete. So when I'm on Facebook and I read something like this, and believe me, I'm on Facebook a lot less often lately. I think a lot of us have Facebook fatigue, but and it's for this very reason. If I read something like this on Facebook and it says, "This is so stupid. Whoever wrote this must be an idiot. What a lame statement. You're obviously not a very educated person." Well, first, none of my friends would ever write that on Facebook. And my friends on Facebook are really my friends, so I know that. And when I see that, I think, troll. Do you know what a troll is on social media? A troll is someone, the word has become very common lately because it's what the Russian people, those 13 people, it's exactly what they were indicted for in their hacking. They were trolls. They were hiring all these other trolls to get into conversations, throw in a really negative comment. And this is always a person you don't know. You've never heard of them, so you think it's a friend of one of your friends back there that's popping into the conversation. They'll say something that will get the argument, keep it going. And during our political seasons, election seasons, it was ripe for that, and man, they jumped in and they did it big. And it really worked. So that's why we were all at each other's throats. And not all of us, but there were a lot of people at each other's throats from both sides, starting to say these really negative things because they were popping up all over the place, and it was giving them permission to say all those negative things. And so that's what a troll is. So the minute I see one of those statements pop up in in a conversation I'm looking at, I just think troll. You can hide a post. The minute that you do that, they ask you if you don't want to see any of their posts anymore, and I always click that. If it's somebody I know, which is rare, occasionally someone I know will surprise me and say something shocking, and they let you now take a 30-day break from that person, which is nice. And so you can control that in your life. Even if you want to spend time on Facebook with your family and loved ones, you don't have to put up with that. So when you see that, you think troll, delete. So if someone says something about you that's out of the blue and it's negative and it's not true, just think troll, delete in your head and move on, rather than spend any extra time dwelling on that. The next one is related to this. It's be too busy to care. So have you ever gotten wrapped up in when you're feeling personally about some of these things and feeling bad about something someone has said or done, and it just spins around in your head, maybe for days? Or maybe then you start to think, well, gee, what did I do? Could I have done something different? Why do they think that? Was it something I did? You just go round and round and round in circles. And especially if they're not being communicative about it, then you really get lost. And what this is saying is, don't do that. You're not busy enough if you have time to spend hours a day thinking about some incident that probably isn't even based on truth in the first place. So, finally, this all relates. Stop giving your power away. When you let other people upset you, you're allowing them to dictate how you feel. And you're giving them power over you, so stop giving it away. You can do this in several ways. You can stop, center yourself, take a few deep breaths, tell yourself that you will not give anyone the power, and take your power back by taking control of what you're thinking and by choosing a different line of thought. It's really, I know it sounds simple, but it actually is. You do just get to change gears. Wait, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm stopping. Don't drink the poison is the final word. This emotional poison that he talks about. And these are his comments about that. Don't take anything personally, because by taking anything personally, you set yourself up to suffer for nothing. Even if others lie to you, it's okay. They're lying to you because they're afraid. There is a huge amount. Oh, and by the way, this doesn't mean that you don't have an opinion about them lying to you and how you want to deal with that in your relationship. I don't really want to be in relationship with somebody who lies to me all the time. But that's just, that it's not saying, oh, it's just okay. It's just saying don't let it disturb you. It's not personal. You can't fix it, and it's not about anything you did. There is a huge amount of freedom, he says, that comes to you when you take nothing personally, and that's the truth. The whole world can gossip about you, and if you don't take it personally, you're immune. The truth is, no one can actually upset us. We allow people to upset us. Free other people from the responsibility of always doing the right thing and treating you exactly right and never making a mistake. When you set yourself up to take everything personally, you're not allowing anyone to be human. You'll free yourself then to live authentically as well. Not worrying about how you'll be judged or perceived, only about how you feel from the inside out each day. Just stop and think, how do I really feel about this at my core? By not taking anything personally, we can more easily dust unpleasant encounters off. Having learned and accepted our lessons, we're ready to take a deep breath and see what's waiting for us in the future. Nothing anyone else does has to do with us. Let go of your victim stance and begin to transform your life by not taking anything personally. Thank you. So now it's time for I almost forgot our meditation. It's not quite time for offering. It's time for meditation. So let's prepare for meditation. Let's get comfortable. Take a big breath. I'm not taking that personally that Roberta caught my mistake. So let's breathe. Let's go to the center of our being, where that real connection to spirit abides, where everything that is true and good in us and through us comes from. And we say, thank you, God. Thank you for this connection. We are so grateful to be aware of this connection, to carry it with us always. And so we agree to let go of taking anything personally, to know that we and only we are connected with spirit within us and what is ours to do and who we are as authentic spiritual beings in oneness with God and everyone else. And we accept that. We take responsibility for our mistakes and our flaws and all the things that we would improve upon, and know that we are coming from a divine place, that we agree to always have more God, be more connected to God, express more God, and just open up to download more God into our lives. And so we release this habit that we may have of taking things personally. We realize that it is not beneficial for us, that it puts us in a place of being the victim, which we know is not what we are here to be. We release that victim attitude. And we just know that what we are about is discerning what is ours in spirit to do and express, as is everyone's. And there's nothing to be gained by taking anything personally. And so we call upon Spirit to assist us, to remind us to never take anything personally. We're grateful for Don Miguel Ruiz and his code and how simple and meaningful it is, and what a blessing it has been to millions of people. And we say, thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. So now is the time that we give